Hey, world history students. This is it. This is the final, not the final farewell video. It is the only farewell video, but it is final. It's the last video of the school year, and I'm not going to make it really long. I just wanted to take a couple minutes just to say thank you. Thank you to all of you this year for a really, well, up until this whole coronavirus, for a really enjoyable year. I value every single one of you. I hope that you learned a couple different things in my class. In particular, the main lessons that I want you to understand about world history is that we as human beings have been through a lot. Our history as human beings is very complex, and it's not always filled with sunshine and happiness. If you look at imperialism and all the terrible things that happened during imperialism, you look at the Holocaust and all the terrible things that happened during the Holocaust, and we see today bad things still happening. So our history is one of trial and tribulation, but yet we're here. Yet we keep progressing, yet we keep moving forward. And that's the lesson of history, is that for all the bad things that happen, there are good people who see the value in each other, who see the value in humanity, and make decisions to help us progress as a people and as a society. Now, I'm not going to say that it's going to be easy. Obviously, with coronavirus and uh, our country kind of tearing itself, I don't want to say apart, but we're having some serious struggles right now. The one constant though that I think we can draw from history is that when we don't see our fellow human as fully human, when we don't see the humanity in somebody, either because of their skin color or because of their religion or because of their politics, for whatever reason, when we look at someone else as an other, an outsider, and instead of seeing their humanity, we see them as lesser or we fear them, that's when history leads us down very dark paths. In imperialism, we saw the people of Africa and Asia as being inferior, and that caused all sorts of issues that eventually spilled over into communist China and a Vietnam War. Um, in the Holocaust, you had um, a certain group of Europeans, particularly German Nazis, who saw Jews as being inferior and being less than human, and that led them to do countless atrocities, and not just the Jewish people, but as we learned, to the Roma, to LGBTQ people, to all sorts of people. Um, so my challenge for you from history, whatever you learned, didn't learn, what have you, my challenge for you is to see the humanity in each other. And it's easy to see the humanity in the people that look like you, think like you, talk like you, and act like you. That's easy. You can see the humanity in me. I can see the humanity in you. It's harder to see the humanity in people that don't look like you, that don't worship like you, that don't have the same sexual identity as you. It's harder to see the humanity there. And that's my challenge. I'm not saying you have to agree with everyone. I'm not saying you need to, if you're a conservative Republican, you have to agree with the most liberal of the Democrats. But what I am saying is at least see the common humanity that we all share with each other. And hopefully that pushes us into the future. And I hope I practice that in my classroom. I really do value every one of you as a person. And regardless of whatever the letter grade is on your report card, I value you as a person. And I'm going to miss you. I hope you're making good choices, good decisions, get plenty of sleep, eat some food, get some exercise when you can. I need to start getting some exercise. It's I don't know, I haven't done it, but if you go back and look at my first video and then look at this video, I think you'd see my face has gotten a little puffier. Part of it is I need to shave. The other part of it is that I'm getting a little chubby cheeker thing going on. Anyway, that leads us into the very final part of today's video. I do want to go over the idea of grades and textbooks. So we'll hit the textbooks first. That's pretty simple. On Thursday, you're supposed to return your textbooks. That's Thursday, May 28th of this week. Ideally, please, if you can, on your textbooks, don't write it in the actual textbook, but on a scrap sheet of paper, if you can just write down Mr. Court's class or Mr. Court's textbook and put it on the inside of the front cover. So you just open up the front cover, place a little note there, close the cover. That's simple. That will save us an enormous amount of time. If we can separate by class as we're sort of bringing the textbooks in as teachers, it will save us a lot of time. And I'd really appreciate it. We'll figure it out anyway. But please, 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 if you could do that, that'd be great. And the only other thing then, grades. You probably got an email from Mr. Packard last week. Hopefully you've watched that. It essentially says that for the fourth 9 weeks, you have a choice. You can choose either take a letter grade for the fourth 9 weeks, or if you don't feel like you did a lot very good this fourth 9 weeks, you can choose to take what's called an S, which means satisfactory, meaning you'd still like pass the fourth 9 weeks for like athletic eligibility purposes, but it wouldn't impact your GPA. If you're struggling on what to choose in my class, as long as you've done about half of your assignments, I'm not going to hammer you that hard. I would, when in doubt, pick the letter grade. I understand that these circumstances have been very difficult, so I am not going to really hammer you if you didn't get every single assignment done. And especially if you did the bare minimum assignment and did a decent number of the other assignments, again, at least like half, you're gonna you're gonna be fine. So take the letter grade. If you've only done a handful of assignments and you didn't do the bare minimum assignment, I'd probably recommend taking the S, but it's up to you. Just email me. All right. That's when in doubt, also just email me and ask. We can look and see what you're at. If you want to get a couple more assignments done this week, you can to make sure that you get an A or a B for the fourth 9 weeks. The only other thing is if you really didn't do any assignments and maybe one or two for the fourth 9 weeks, we can, instead of giving you an F, we would give you what's called an IE, which means insufficient evidence. So you don't really fail for the fourth 9 weeks, but you also you don't technically pass either. You just it just sort of it doesn't hurt your GPA, but also it could hurt your eligibility if you want to do any fall sports. So that's why the IEs are a little tricky. You don't want to get an IE if you don't have to. And then finally, for the final grade, just the way everything worked out, the number of points that I assigned during the fourth 9 weeks was a lot smaller because we weren't doing bell ringers. We didn't have any big tests. So the fourth 9 weeks, if you did well, it will help your grade. And but if not, it's not going to impact your final grade very much. So if you really did not do really well at all for the fourth 9 weeks, it's not really going to impact your grade too negatively. If you did really well, it might help your grade a little bit. You might go from a B to a B plus, maybe a B plus to an A minus. Um, but again, just the way everything worked out, a majority of our points are in the first, second, third 9 weeks. And that's really about it. Not that the fourth 9 weeks wasn't important. And honestly, the Holocaust lessons that we did, I'm kind of proud of those. I thought we did a nice job, and hopefully you learned some valuable things, not only about the history of the Holocaust, but how it could happen at any time in any place, even here in America, if we're not cognizant of how we treat each other. So, and the Cold War videos are super long. I'd probably try to cram too much in there, but you live and you learn. But I don't know. I love the Cold War stuff. I love it. So enough of that. So that's really about it. I hope you have a wonderful summer. I really do. I hope make sure you're valuing yourself as much as you value others. Each one of you is valuable. Each one of you has worth. And so make sure you're taking care of yourself. Sleep enough, eat healthy, make good choices, exercise, and hopefully I see everyone back in the fall. I won't be teaching any sophomores next year unless you failed this year, and I might see you again. But other than that, I won't probably have any of you again until you're juniors. So it's been really nice. I look forward to seeing you, and have a wonderful break. All right, bye everyone.